Hey everybody, this is Spencer, and I have the pleasure of introducing to you the Paragon backpack by Bihn, part of their Design Lab series. And it's a very nice, square, well-designed bag that has been drawn a lot of parallels with the Daylight backpack for good reason. This particular one is in Taiga 400 Halcyon. I specifically requested this one because I wanted to be able to review the color and the bag in one go. And so let's talk about some of its features. So first, it has a nice front pocket, nice room for an iPad, probably not a 12-inch Pro, although I haven't tested with mine. And a nice interior. This is, again, this is Taiga on the inside. And you notice that even though these colors are exactly the same, the lines make them look very different. It's funny how perception works like that. You'll notice that it also has an integrated laptop compartment here, right here. It does not close at the top, which is an interesting thing. So it's kind of like a hybrid between the internal laptop compartment inside of the Shadow Guide, the Cynic, without the zippers, right? So definitely would still feel comfortable putting my laptop in there. A top pocket here, which is room for just a few accessories, and then a big main compartment. And when I say big, of course, I mean that it's just very, well, it's an interesting shape because it's almost perfectly square. And this is where I think that this bag really shines. It's actually kind of more like a minimalist travel bag or an everyday carry. I think it's even better for everyday carry, in my opinion, than maybe the Synapse, depending on what you're carrying. Another thing worth mentioning, of course, are the edgeless straps, which are very different from the Daylight backpack. You notice as well that there's no mesh back, and we'll come back to that. So there's no mesh back, so very minimalist in this way. So of course, this bag is going to draw a lot of comparison to the Daylight backpack. This is probably my most used Bihn bag. You can see that it is very well loved and very well used. This is I would say my only beater bag. This has been my sort of my weekender backpack when I take my kids out, and it has been for a couple of years now. Again, they draw a lot of comparisons, and for good reason. This one kind of has more of an egg shape, and this one has a very squared off shape. It's like a packing cube shoulder, or like a packing cube backpack, but made into like a real backpack, like an actual backpack that you would carry, especially with the edgeless straps. I think those make it really nice for carrying a more full pack. You'll notice as well, this kind of what Bihn kind of is described as a sort of a 70s and 80s kind of design, this triangular zipper, has been replaced with a more functional, I think, based on, having devices that would go in here, a more functional front pocket here. You notice that this one goes up and in, and this one does not. You open up the bag. Let's open up the Daylight as well. You notice that you have several, like, kind of no frills compartments here inside of the Daylight. You've got this one and then one right below it, and then it's pretty much nothing from there on out, and no zipper pack here, whereas you have instead an integrated laptop compartment. So definitely if you're carrying a laptop, this one fits a 16-inch MacBook Pro, which of course, as any viewer of my channel would know, that's like the biggest thing to me. And then a zippered pocket, which I frankly prefer zippered pockets to these free-flowing pockets, although they do provide, for the limited organization that they provide, I find them to be totally sufficient. You'll notice as well, same kind of minimalist grab handle on the top. And the straps couldn't be more different there, because these are kind of just basic straps. This bag, I have used a Daylight backpack to sort of crunch up. You can crunch this bag up, super tiny. And the straps enable that, right? Because they're so minimalist. Once you get to your destination, they hurt for extended carry. But that's really beside the point. That's compared to these though. These you cannot, I don't think I can, yeah, this one is just, I'm not going to bend it up too much because it's got definitely a foam insert in there, whereas this one does not. And it has this edgeless straps, which frankly just make it, impossible to sort of condense up like you could the Daylight. But if this is the bag that you were carrying when you were doing your minimalist travel, I have seen somebody spend, they've lived months out of the daylight. You can find them on Reddit, the One Bag forums. I've seen it happen. I think this bag is more appropriate for that. So talking about the shape, I'm going to get the daylight out of here because those are where that's the similarities and differences there. I think the shape really lends itself well to lots of different things. Because it's so square, you can easily fit in and very naturally fit in a packing cube full of clothes, right? And then fit in your laptop as well. I have a 13-inch MacBook Air right here. Moves around appropriately as I would expect. I would have total confidence in putting it in there. Nice false bottom there as well. You can feel that it's not touching the bottom, which is the laptop's not touching the bottom of the bag, which is very important. So yeah, I think that the square shape lends itself really well to sort of packing in packing cubes that you might fill in. I believe this one, I'm not sure. I think that this might be, it's either, I think it's a Western Flyer one, but I have so many of these that I can't be really sure. I almost never use them I use them in just different bags. This particular pack is 19 liters. 19 liters big. So that sounds very similar to I think it's just under 20. I think it's 19.8 or something like that. So that's very similar, in fact, to the Synapse 19, right? I mean, it's right there in the name, Synapse 19. So this one is, these bags in terms of what they are obviously very similar because they're backpacks, but this one definitely falls more on the minimalist side, whereas it's very much similar to the Synapse 25 versus the Shadow Guide 23 video I did. This one, if you value organization, then you're going to go, if you really value organization, and a lot of people have a lot of fun filling in these little pockets with different things. In fact, this, if I were traveling with this is where I would put my daylight backpack if I were crunching it up. I don't know that it would fit in here, but it would certainly fit into one of the newer Synapse 25s. Anyways, probably would fit in the bottom pocket. If you really value organization and you have a lot of fun organizing things differently, like I usually put a spiff kit here, although I've not used the 19 extensively, so I don't know that a spiff kit would fit into this older one. Probably would fit down here if you wanted to put like a handy little thing. You know, you have all those little sort of nooks and crannies. But I will say that the inside of the bag itself has this one little kind of free-flowing pocket, usually where I put my iPad. It doesn't lend itself as well, I think, to carrying a packing cube. I think it's a little more awkward. And I think it has to do with the fact that it's a little harder to get to. Whereas I just kind of naturally just fold this one down and it just kind of goes with it. This one, you know, wants to resist. Not to mention that it's sort of oblong shape kind of means that you're going to have a hard time packing it all the way up, especially if you're trying to fill all 19 liters. Keeping in mind that the main compartment, the 19 liters is the main compartment alongside this pocket, this pocket, this pocket, these pockets. So if you don't value organization as much, and for me, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. I just kind of fall in line with the limitations of the bag that I'm given. If you don't want organization as much, I think that this bag is really handsome, really nice, minimalist. It certainly makes a lot more sense for minimalist travel than the Daylight does. And as far as everyday carry, it absolutely makes, for a weekender bag, I think it makes more sense. It's obviously a little more expensive, about $100 more expensive roughly. But if you have the extra change and you want the edgeless straps and you absolutely must carry a laptop, I think that this bag would be really good. I plan on picking one of these up in Black Halcyon. Black Halcyon, of course, is by far my favorite fabric. But of course, I had to get this one because of the Taiga. We got to talk about Taiga. So talking a bit about Taiga, the color itself. It's hard to describe what this is. It's not really tan. It's not really green. It's almost kind of like a camouflage if it were all like a camo green almost, at least in this light. And keep in mind, I've got two very bright lights shining right here that are kind of shining down. And it is really kind of hard to nail down what exactly Taiga is. When I got the swatch for it, I emailed Tom Bihn and I said, I think it looks like a thatched roof. But when they say that the swatch looks a lot different than the bag, I have to say that I agree. It's not necessarily a color for me. I don't think it's a bad color, but I just prefer the more neutral, like black or, black or black on white. But I do really like the color. So I have here a swatch of Coyote because it's sort of, kind of similar to Coyote, but not really even. It's definitely a lot more greenish. Here's Coyote and Ballistic. And then, of course, we have Wasabi, which is a lot brighter. Overall, if you're looking for something sort of neutral and earthy, but don't like black, I think that this Taiga color could work well for you. Certainly, it looks nice with the contrast with the blackout logo. And I think that the interior color looks really nice. I really like the white on Taiga here, as opposed to the black grid here. Overall, probably going to stick with Black Halcyon. Here's what Black Halcyon looks like next to it. Definitely very different. But I can see that there's a lot of that Tom Bihn on their website uses a lot of different terms to describe it. It's earthy, it's balanced, and I really have a hard time, and I kind of understand that inability to describe what exactly Taiga is. I really like it. It's really hard to nail down what the color is, and but it looks really nice, and I'll probably use this as an everyday carry, at least when I have the opportunity to carry it. All in all, I really like the Paragon. Definitely a very interesting bag. I think it's like a souped up daylight, but to me, it's more useful than a daylight. At least for that everyday carry minimalist traveler. If you're trying to, if I one bagged to Norway with a guides pack and then used the daylight to just scrunched up inside the bag to sort of carry stuff around when I was out and about at a conference or whatever, you obviously can't do that. This one has, a padded back, a foam back here, not padded, doesn't have the fancy new grid like on the Shadow Guide. So you wear this extended periods of time, your back is going to sweat, and there's really no breathing to be had. And the padding is definitely like minimalist, right? It's not a very padded bag. But as far as something that you could carry every day, I really like it. And I think that this bag could make a lot of sense for a lot of different people who don't need the organization of the Synapse, but they want something more than just the sort of minimalist daylight backpack. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks a lot.